So, we have a young living leader from Texas with a great story. From living on a farm to being a pharmacist, she has a passion for healthy living and helping others on her young living journey. So let's dive into it all, up next. Hi there, Oil Family. I'm Brenton. This is The Leader's Instinct, a Team YL web series and podcast brought to you by TeamSense. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any daily content from cross-line leaders in the Young Living family. Today, we're featuring Elizabeth and the YL Oil family from Texas. So let's jump right in. Hey, Elizabeth. Thanks for taking the time. Let's start with a little intro. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Elizabeth James, and I have been with Young Living for about 4.5 years now. I live in Texas, which is a suburb of a suburb of a suburb of a suburb of Dallas. So we've lived here for about almost 25 years now, and started out at about 900, and now is significantly larger than that, but still under about 12,000. So it's not a huge community.
And what was your journey before Young Living?
Time as a pharmacist, I learned again about 15 or 18 years ago that there is far more to healing than medication, and part of healing also has to do with how to stay well. So it started out with food as a healing source, and kind of move forward from there. In pharmacy school, there is an elective class you can take called pharmacognosy. So pharmacognosy, for anyone who doesn't know, is the study of plants as medicine. And years and years and years ago, that's our forefathers took care of themselves and stayed well by using, kept his crew from getting scurvy by making sure that he always traveled with lemons and limes. So
very cool. And how were you first introduced to Young Living? Was there a class or a friend who introduced you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I for 12 years I worked in pharmacy in a specialized part of pharmacy where I specialized in rare diseases, oncology, autoimmune disorders, and infertility. And a large part of infertility is also autoimmune related. And I'd stepped out of that role and back into retail about 6 years ago. And when I stepped back into retail, I realized that there were a lot of things that had changed in retail, and one of which was that had caused me to research some other holistic things, like colloidal silver and elderberry syrup and that kind of thing, and because the Young Living is a tool. The products that they have is a tool for our toolbox, but there are a wealth of holistic tools here. And in the course of all my researching, I had a neighbor that I really didn't even know very well. They hadn't lived here that long, who invited me to a class. And I had already started researching essential oils, but I was looking at them very critically from a pharmacist's eye, saying, well, how do we know, really asking all the questions of the company. How do we know they're pure? How do we know that they work? How do we know, how do we know the difference between the companies? Those questions were ones that I wanted answered, and I had not settled on a company that I was going to use. So I went to this class and I listened, and I thought, well, this is really interesting. The seed to seal really caught my attention. More so on the science nerdy side, and like when somebody starts talking gas chromatography and things like that kind of makes my heart go pitter patter in a good way. So So when they started talking about GCMS and things like that, I was like, all right, this company's speaking my language, you know. I didn't actually sign up that day because I'm a thinker and that's not how I work. And so I went home and I bought a book that is a medical textbook on essential oils, and proceeded to read about the first chapters of this particular book, and it's outlined everything that was required of an essential oil in order that it be effective as an adaptogenic product in our body. And I was like, okay. So I went back and compared what I had learned from my now upline, and compared it with some other things in my own research I did with Young Living. And I came back to my upline Missy, and I was like, I'm in. Let me know. So it's a long answer, but you know, for those who are critical thinkers, that stuff is super interesting and super necessary in order to move forward.
Such a great story. And how about the transition from product user to being a business builder? I had a couple of close friends who I have kind of from the pharmacist standpoint, you know, I get phone calls because we work in the community. People have my cell phone number, and because they're my friends, you know, so I'm their pharmacist, but I'm also their friend. That creates its own set of very specific circumstances that make things very difficult in the young living business. But outside of that, I mean, I have some very, very dear friends who I kind of, as their pharmacist mentor, I was like, you are sick all the time. You have got to boost your immune system. And so I started kind of sending them, I was like, you need to come to this Young Living class with me, because these are things you can do to help boost your immune system, you know. And so literally, I had the first 3 people that signed up under me. I told them, they were like, we're going to sign up under you. I said, don't sign up under me. Go sign up under Missy. I'm just here to be the tour guide, you know. And all 3 of them, it was amazing, because all 3 of them, I really give for starting the business for me, because they said, no, if we're going to learn from you, we're signing up under you. And because we know you're going to do the research, and we don't care about the research, we just want to hear from somebody who's done the research. So that's kind of what happened. Yeah. And as there's no one right way of sharing Young Living, do you have a favorite type of sharing method?
You know, my favorite type of sharing now is one-on-one. And I am an introvert by nature, but I'm an introvert. Most introverts, I have learned just in reading, we have a gift of being of feeling people's energy and being very empathetic to people's energy. And it's one of the reasons that we have to withdraw, because we are more sensitive to people's energy, whether that's positive or negative. It like hits us, and that's a very real thing. I've done a lot of schooling in holistic training now, outside of Young Living, and there's physics involved with that energy, and it is if you are an introvert, even though there are times when you have to speak in front of large groups and you have to put yourself into large group situations, you can always retreat and regain your own personal space again. But the gift that we have is that if we feel that something is going on and we sit back and we listen to people, because most introverts too are not big talkers, they're big listeners. And if you listen to people long enough, they will tell you exactly what they need and exactly what they need to take that information, go into your mental arsenal and say, hey, I think peace and calming will work really great for this person, or whatever. And or I'm a huge supplement girl. My orders consistently are heavier on supplements than they are on oils. I use a lot of oils, but the supplements are the secret sauce as far as I'm concerned in a lot of cases.
So more than online or large class settings, it sounds like the one-to-one is really your preference for sharing.
That's my preference. We do online classes. I have a Facebook page, and I have that I run with a group, and I have a private blog. I live in the country. My husband and we live on a farm, and Young Living permeates almost every aspect of our farm life. So we use them extensively on the animals, and people like to see. I mean, people don't live in the country anymore, and they don't. I hand milk our cows. We have chickens and horses and dogs and cats, and there's something very calming about a farm, and I get that because that's where I come. This is my place of peace. But I have also come to see that people, they connect with me and my animals. You see all these fuzzy happy kitten videos. I get the real life thing here, and all I have to do is snap a quick picture, and there'll be 80 responses on Facebook.
That's awesome.
So
when it comes to building relationships, how do you like to continuously build relationships outside of your friends and family circle to share Young Living?
That's been really interesting. My husband and I achieved gold status in October of last year. And as you and I had talked a little bit previously, I'm not one of those quickie, rise to gold quickly. I spent about 3 years or longer at silver, but I was also working. We have a functioning farm here, and I'm working 30 hours. Was working 30 hours a week, 30 hours a week at the pharmacy. So there's, in itself is an issue. But now that kind of, I wouldn't say you ever tap out on your friends and family, because number one, hopefully everybody's always making new friends. And number two, I don't think you can say you're tapped out unless you have 100% protection in Young Living. So I just, we just keep gently sharing that way. But you do have to step out of your comfort zone, because as anybody who has been successful will say, outside your zone is where the magic happens. And I have had to have been willing to do that. And I don't know if you can see me. Dressed right now. I'm dressed because I have a yoga class, and I've taken yoga for 8 years. And earlier this year, my yoga instructor said, "Hey, you know what? You'd be a great yoga instructor. Why don't you give it a try?" And I was like, as if I don't already have enough to do. So I spent 1 weekend a month for 6 months. I'm going through Christian yoga teacher training, because I am a Christian. I practice my faith, and a lot of people won't touch yoga because I think it has it's very tied to one religion, and the reality is that yoga predates that religion by 1,000 years. And God wants us to utilize our bodies to help others. And if we are not ourselves helped, we're spending all of our time taking care of ourselves instead of helping others. So I graduated from yoga teacher certification in June. And I'm now teaching at a couple days. Well, right now it's going to graduate up. Right now I'm just teaching a few days a week at a local gym. And people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're giving up your huge pharmacist salary to go teach yoga at a gym." But it's not just about that, because I have the opportunity to share with people who I would never have the opportunity to share with, because I began in each class with oils. So
that's awesome. And on that topic, once you've built the relationships and you're talking to people, how do you like to invite them to come hear about the oils and just show up and listen when you invite them?
Mostly I create an interest in the product. We have some very specific classes that we teach. One of the things that I have found that is hugely is a gut health class, and a way that I focus on a couple of my leaders, them how to teach this particular class. Between women extend into emotional care and gut health issues, if solutions to avoid situations in both of those realms, then it would be life-changing for them. And I've seen too much of it in pharmacy to know. I've watched people's lives get turned around because of it. So if we can reach them, if you listen and listen to what somebody has, listen to a very specific need that somebody has, and invite them, and then they're more apt to come, as opposed to just offering a general, "Hey, come to this class," an oils class. But if you're talking to somebody and you hear that they're having digestive issues, say, they're going to be really addressing some that might interest you, because I notice that you really struggle with what you can eat, or I notice that you're constantly talking about Facebook page, how you're constantly tired, and I think that this answer's for you. If you go to what people need, and that's why God gave us 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Such a great point. And as health and wellness is all about that lifestyle and consistency, is there anything you like to do to inspire that consistency in others and join Essential Rewards?
This may be counterintuitive, but it's don't bite off more than you can chew at one time. If you're talking to somebody who lives a completely toxic lifestyle, it's probably not a logical thing for them to dump everything and and make a complete switch all at once, because they fail. Nobody who diets and does everything cold turkey, I shouldn't say nobody, but the vast majority, if you say, "All right, I'm done, I'm only going to eat gluten-free forever from forward," chances are they're going to stick with it for a couple weeks, and then they're going to fall off the wagon and say, "I owe this to it's too hard." But if you conquer one habit or one lifestyle change at a time, over time, you'll see permanent progress in the right direction.
Very cool. So after they've signed up, they're on your team, they see the benefits of ER, do you have anything you like to do to inspire them to start sharing YL with others?
Yes. So this is, again, out of the box. And I can't say, I'm sure there are other leaders out there who do this, but I have a fair number, even though for some of the girls on my team, I'm old enough to be their mom. And my husband and I don't have any kids, and so we really do adopt these young women typically into our family. And some of them are just getting started in life, and you can totally do the business with no money. We hear that all over the place, and it is totally doable. But when they get to the point where they're wanting to share, there are tools that you need in order to make sharing easier, and some of them are free and some of them are not. But if you want portable tools, those are not always free. And so I try really hard to, almost in a scholarship form, kind of help my babies that need help. I provide them with the tools that they need in boxes, kind of. It's like, what do you need? Okay, well, let's do this. You get rid of these and you built your team some, then I'll give you some more tools. Up until about the time they reach executive, I help them financially just by giving them the tools that they need so that they can share more easily.
And if you happen to have any naturally shy people on your team, do you have anything you like to do to help those naturally shy people get out of their shell and start sharing Young Living?
Yeah, that's a hard thing, because a naturally shy person, that falls really into the introvertedness. That's an extreme that really doesn't want to get out there. And I would say, again, the magic happens outside your comfort zone. And there will come a time where you're going to have to make the decision to learn to work outside your comfort zone. And that may sound a little harsh, but it's the truth. And we can always go back to our comfort zone to recharge, but until we learn, and it's a skill, it's a life skill, until we learn to step out and start stepping out in small ways, and the more you do it, the easier it will get. But that shy person, they have to make that decision. I can share with them all day long, but it may never happen if they don't consciously make that decision.
Now, have you personally had any big struggles or fears that you've had to overcome in building the YL business?
Oh, Lord, yes. Oh my gosh. So I am an introvert. Speaking to a large crowd is not my thing at all. Even speaking to a small crowd, Stress Away is my best friend. And if I don't have Stress Away on, usually I feel like I am about to have a panic attack. So that has been one thing. And I've spoken to, the largest group I've spoken to has been about 250 people now. And the other thing is, as a healthcare provider with a license, that's a whole level of fear, And I know there are a lot of other healthcare professionals in the Young Living business who at first struggled too. And there's all kinds of levels within that. One is, okay, my coworkers think I'm nuts. They don't think I'm nuts anymore. A lot of them have converted. But and that's been a slow conversion, because I've had to educate them, because we don't learn this stuff in pharmacy school, like we should. And in other countries, and I've talked to other pharmacists from other countries, oils are actually taught in pharmacy school in other countries.
So if you could go back and start over today on your YL journey and business, knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would change in order to climb the ranks faster? One
thing I will say, and again, this may sound harsh, but if you are a business builder and you are looking for builders under you, and I've talked to my team about this recently, is think of the, you may have heard the phrase before, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person. And so often I watch people pour into, on the business side, they pour into people who are very flighty. And a flighty person is somebody that, if you look at their life history, they've never stuck for more than a few months or a few years. And that may mean their relationships, that may mean their job, that may mean they've hopped into several multi-level marketing businesses and dropped out of them 6 months later. You know, if you know the person, you kind of see that. And I'm saying to not pour into them, but I'm saying don't invest an enormous amount of time in them until they prove to you that they are worthy of your time. Because I have watched myself included, and some of my younger people, when I say younger, I'm talking about just in rank, pour into people who really don't have it. They're on again, off again, and you will never be able to grow your business by being on again, off again. You can only build your business with consistency, and that includes with your downline. If they are not consistently sharing and doing something, a little something every day, then their business won't grow. And if their business doesn't grow, then your business won't grow either as quickly.
Love it. Is there any advice you'd give to someone maybe at the beginning of their YL journey wanting to grow the business?
You know, one of the things that the biggest realizations that made me just, I guess it was my aha moment from a financially secure standpoint, is, you know, I was taught at a very young age to save for retirement. And so as soon as I had my first job, as soon as my first employer outside of pharmacy school allowed me to start investing and putting money into a 401k, that's what I did, because that's what I was taught from such a young age. So that started at like 25. Fast forward to 50, so 25 years later. My husband and I are going back and looking, and we've been very faithful and diligent in putting money into 401ks so that when we retire, we can retire with some comfort. And all of this has a purpose. When I got to gold and I started getting a gold paycheck, my very first gold paycheck, if we look at what is in our 401k today, 25 years of savings versus it wasn't quite 4 years of business in Young Living. Okay, that check that if at 70 and a half we started pulling money out with the money that's in our 401k today, that check is less than, after 25 years of putting money in every single, is less than what my gold paycheck was. And that's residual income. And I know lots and lots and lots of people who have put very little away in their 401k. And they're already, and at 40 and 50, they're starting to wonder what they're going to do. But for these young people that are in their 20s, oh my gosh, even if you build a little bit every week and pour into your Young Living business, do you understand what you're sitting on in terms of retirement? Even if you just get to gold and maintain gold, and that's as far as you ever choose to go, it's still your retirement. And still an income and a business that you can willingly pass on to your kids. And I don't know how you can put a price on that.
Such a great point. So as we wrap up, any last words of wisdom that maybe we didn't cover that you'd like to share with the YL family?
One other thing for new people that might be listening to this too is I don't want people to ever think that, oh, well, somebody above me is always going to be making more money than I make. I mean, this business is a business that if you work hard, you get paid for that work. And, you know, I'm a gold. I have platinums below me. I have a diamond that's not, or I shouldn't say that may have been a Freudian slip because she might be a diamond soon. But she's been working at this business full time since day one, and praise God for her, you know. But she makes more than I make, and that's great because she deserves it. I've got another platinum below me who has done the same thing, and another platinum below me who's done the same thing. So you work hard and you get rewarded. It's not, and when somebody says, well, you're in a multi-level marketing business, so you can turn around and say, well, let me ask you something. Does the cashier at Walmart, do they ever have a chance of making more than the store manager? No, they don't, you know, and it's like that business, but this is not the case with Young Living. You put in the hours and you put in the work, and the sky's the limit. I mean, you know, there is nobody limiting you but yourself.
Well, this has been a real pleasure. You're such a wonderful inspiration that all of our Crossline friends can learn from. Thank you so much for taking the time, Elizabeth. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Brenton, very much. It's been fun talking to you.
So our goal at TeamSense and the Leader's Instinct podcast is to provide as much value to the entire Team YL community to help bring Young Living essential oils into every home in the world. So YL family, that's it for this chat. As this content may be useful for someone on your team to hear or a crossline YL friend, it's over to you. Tag an oil friend below and go ahead and subscribe to this page. It really does help this channel out so all of our crossline oil friends can see this education too. I'm Brenton, and this has been The Leader's Instinct, a Team YL web series brought to you by TeamSense. Now let's all help each other climb the ranks faster, make more time for our why, and inspire others to wellness, purpose, and abundance. Thanks for listening.